guys. I love Tuesdays. It is time for Stall Talk. Man, these things just keep adding up. We are at episode number 27, and this week is going to be another fire topic. On fire. Last week, we talked about how do you go fast? Like you want to go fast, but every cell in your body is saying safety up, slow down. This week, we're going to talk about how to harness our inner Ricky Bobby that only wants to go fast. And, you know, Ricky Bobby's motto, I love that movie, by the way, Talladega Nights, was if you ain't first, you're last. Well, I think sometimes we need a little extra ambition and something to pump us up and motivate us. But for those of us who have an abundance of motivation, how do we temper that? Especially for the sake of our horse. When our horse is either not ready, so not mature enough to handle all of the gears, or we need to go back and repair some things. Maybe we need to work on the transmission. We need to reprogram some things. Like there's a short in the wiring system. I'm trying to relate horses to cars right now. If you're like me, you've driven a few older vehicles in your life, and sometimes, you know, things don't fire on all cylinders. And sometimes it can feel like that way with our horses. So if you're watching right now live, welcome. This is Stall Talk. We've been doing this every Tuesday. We are sponsored by Merhow Trailers. Let's get going. All right. So my co-coaches today, Michael Richardson, he's already here. Michael, star of the TV show Gift of the Horse. Man, I'm learning so much from you this year. So thank you for being here once again.
Thank you.
And Leanna Ray, I've been saying she was a behavioral neuroscientist, but she comes from relational neuroscience. So I'm also learning a tremendous amount from Leanna. She may or may not be with us yet.
I'm here.
Oh, good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshine.
Hello, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
As always.
So do you.
Well,
Love
thank
these
you.
talks. Yes.
So you're definitely bringing us all up. Like the entire industry has an opportunity to learn from you. And I'm so thankful that you and Michael are here. It's just fascinating. You blow our mind every week.
Well, same, just like everyone else, and hearing everyone else's experiences. Again, I'll reiterate, that's why communities such as Stall High are so essential to all of our growth. Every single one of us having these community conversations. We all help each other grow.
I was listening to a little YouTube this morning, and he talked about lifelong learning.
Yes.
That's the key to the future. You want to succeed? Decide right now you will be a lifetime learner.
Yes.
I love that. I haven't always been that way. I wasn't like fostered that way. Like I really wasn't brought up in a family that valued learning like that. We didn't applaud and encourage each other to keep learning. So that's something that I've had to learn to appreciate as I'm getting older.
You know, that cultivating that, there's a phrase, it's to, you know, be confident in your expertise and in the skills that you have fostered and developed, but always leaving space for what they call a beginner's mindset, so that you can see with fresh eyes, so that you can be open enough, but yet also being confident and grounded in what you do know. So you can have the expertise that's living in you, but also the beginner's mindset as well. Those can be both and.
Happy and successful balance.
Yes.
Lori, did Martin make it this week? Martin, say hello if you're here. Martin Patella, founder of Life Enthusiast. He may join us. We enjoy picking his brain as well. Our student this week is Jordan Jen. So I love this kid. I love this rider. I love that she is passionate and committed to learn. And Jordan, I want you to just tell us a really quick backstory. Where do you go to school? What problem were you having with your horse that made you seek Stall High?
I go to school at South Dakota State University in Brookings, South Dakota. I'm on the college rodeo team here, and our college rodeo is in approximately 3 days on Friday here. And my horse, for a while, I had a lot of problems with him hitting barrels, especially my second barrel. That was just, I could not figure out how to get him past it. And I could get him, like, for a while, I could get him by it, and I just didn't really know how to fix it. So I just kind of like let it go because I didn't know what to do. And so then I was like, well, it's working enough of the time right now that I just am gonna let it go because I didn't know. I've never had a horse that hits barrels, but I never had a horse that I got that was like as finished as this horse was when I got him. So I could mold my own horses before that. Now this horse like already had his own way of doing things, and I had to like try and learn that. So I did well on him, and then I started struggling, and then we went to different clinicians and did like different trainers that helped me. And everyone's solution was just always to tie him down more and tie him down more and tie him down more, like bring his head down more and like get him more bound up because he's really big and really strong and really fast. And I'm not very big or strong. And so you can obviously, he's a horse anyway, so you can easily overpower me, but he's even more so like that. And we finally, I don't know how, like someone told me to put the Lagnat bit in him without like telling me like without like telling me like you should talk to Kendra, but they just had me to put the bit in him. So I ordered the bit, and then she reached out to me because I ordered the bit, and like I started talking to you about it, and I started telling my dad about the way that you train and stuff, and he doesn't like tying him down. Like he would prefer the only horses we run tie downs on are rope horses and stuff, so I have a little bit of something to brace on. He does not want to run a tie down on my barrel horse. He doesn't like that stuff. He's whatever. And so I started talking to him, and he's not one to like hammer on him too hard, like anything either. And I don't like that either. And then finally we started talking to you more and more, and it started to actually like help my horse. So then we got pretty much as much involved as we could here.
Let's help our viewers understand this horse for a minute. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being NFR level, speed and power. Okay. I'm going to classify this horse at his potential from what I see, especially from what you sent me over the weekend, 8.5. Like he is high. He is up there. He is fast. He's got a lot of muscle, and I believe he really wants to please you. Like he's trying his best. I can just see it. I just know it about him. Even though y'all are not on the same page right now, it's our job to help you get there. And I'm so proud of you for investing in yourself rather than going out there and going through all these random products and devices. You're investing in wisdom. And so I'm super proud of you for doing that and being open and willing to learn, even though sometimes that's hard to do because it challenges us, you know?
Yeah.
So where would you, compared to your other horses, if I rate him an 8.5, where would the other horses rate? Like he was a big step up for you, right?
Yeah. So I had a couple, like my dad when I was in high school or whatever, we bought some cheaper horses so I had some, like I had a nice horse that he was probably like a 5 or 6. Like I placed high school rodeos and stuff on him a bunch, and he got to college and he was usually like top 20, top 30 or so out of like the 100 girls or whatever, but I wasn't making short rounds on him or anything. So we went out and bought a different horse, and that horse has the potential. He had the potential to be like probably a 7.5 to an 8, like not quite as big of a step up because he was a little late, like started a little later on the barrels and stuff. He was a team roping horse, and they started him on the barrels. He's really big. He's pretty, like he's fast, but he just doesn't have like the grit as much as my gray does. And so he was going to be like, I could have like made short rounds at college rodeos and stuff on him, and maybe even made the CNFR on that bay horse, but then he got hurt. And at that, like kind of like right before he got hurt, we traded that little high school horse that I had for this gray, just because a little girl had my gray, and she couldn't handle him because sometimes I can barely handle him almost. And so she couldn't handle him. And the lady who helped us buy both the other 2 horses, like, well, this girl, they have this horse and they can't afford to buy your horse until they sell this gray. And this gray horse might be a little bit better than the horse that we sold. So even if we just turn around and resell him, we might make a little bit more money on him than we would have made on your done horse. And my dad and I wanted, like, that home is exactly where we wanted that other horse to go, because he taught me more than I could have ever asked him to teach me anyway, about like just everything. So we traded this gray, and the lady was riding him to sell him, and she called my dad one night, and she's like, I think y'all need to come ride this horse here before we just turn and sell him, because this horse could be something. And a pretty big trainer that's trained some really, really nice like NFR horses, like horses that have been to the NFR and stuff, rode my gray one time at this clinic that we went to, and he told me, he said, this horse is a horse. Like if we put a right now, even if we put a jockey that can ride some of the tougher ones, like someone like Stevie Hillman, who can sneak him by stuff, and like a really good jockey, this horse will take her to the pay window at pro rodeos. So he has it. He's just.
So compared to your junior high, good old trusty horse, like, would you have classified that horse maybe at a 4 or a 5, and then you hop to an 8.5? That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Huge jump. And he could be more than that. I don't know. What I see in just his speed, just when he took off that first barrel the other day, I'm like, hello, that's what I'm looking for. I believe he could easily place you at the pro level. Can he get you to the NFR? That's a very rare individual. So I'm not going to make that statement, right? He could. We don't know. But Michael, Leanna, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an older gelding. Jordan's been on him for a year and a half. Is that right?
I've owned him for in July. I'll have had him for like almost 3 years.
Okay.
But between the other horses that I've had and stuff, I went through phases where I didn't ride him as much, because when I get in portions like, okay, we're in the second half of our college rodeo season, and I hit some barrels in the fall, so I'm not gonna make the CNFR, so I'm gonna run my younger horse and season him some, because I'm not gonna there's not enough points available for me to catch up to make the CNFR, so it's not worth it to waste runs on this horse when I have another horse that needs runs and stuff like that.
Okay, so tell me about this weekend. What progress did you notice, even if it was something tiny?
I really, really tried to like leave him alone, which I didn't do very well. I did not leave him alone very well, and I will out myself on that, because I want to grab him on the backside of the first barrel, but I didn't like pull on him to the first, which is what I did the last time I ran him. Like I wanted to hold him down and not let him run to the first and keep him held down. And I really tried to like just let him run instead of picking with him and like trying to hold him down. She's still like, I picked my hands up in places I shouldn't have, but at least I wasn't like trying to keep him all bound up and tied down so he can't run.
Okay, so there's our progress. What was the biggest inner challenge for you? What was Ricky Bobby saying to you that you were like, oh, I got to get that out of my head?
My big problem is I want to help him on the backside of the barrels, and because he's coming into him, like he comes into him really hard, obviously he's fast. And so I want to help him, because I think that there's no way that he can come around the backside without me helping him. And if I need to help him, I like need to come and pick him up here, or like not pull straight back. And I want to pull straight back all the time on him and like slow him down. And he hates that. He absolutely hates when I pull on him straight back. Like if I pull to my hip, he puts his nose right in the air and wants to just not go where I want him to go. But if I like move my hand here or anywhere that's not right here, basically, he will come around him. He's fine. Like on the second day on the backside of my first, I picked my hand up and he didn't fight me. And then I did the same thing. I pulled it back on the backside of my second barrel where it should have gone like this, and he fought against me. It's really hard for me to not do this motion on him all the time, because I just want him to slow down.
Okay. Now I'm betting money. We have listeners right now, and we have listeners in the future who are like, oh, she is describing my horse to a T. If this is your horse that Jordan is describing, you need to comment right now. Let us know. And if you want help, do what Jordan did. Go to the Stall High app, look up online mentorship, online training, and come be a part of this community. Be a part of what's happening. We have an online mentor program. That's what brought us here today. Jordan, if it's okay with you, I'm going to share the screen so we can watch your videos from the weekend. And this is the same pen we were in a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
No, this is a completely different pen.
Okay.
Just we're in a bunch of indoors right now, and they all look the same.
Michael, Leanna, y'all have a visual on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here's the run in real time, like real speed. Now I'm going to slow it down. Get ready to hit the pause button. This was, yeah, it's the same run. Jordan, sometimes when you're making progress and it doesn't come together, or when they clock slower, I think we have to battle that inner Ricky Bobby that says, you're supposed to be getting faster. Why is it slower? You know, why am I hitting barrels? If I'm making progress, why does it feel worse right now? So Michael, Leanna, here it is in slow motion. Think about what you want to ask Jordan. Me to go ahead and stop it. Michael, do you have any questions for him?
Well, first of all, Jordan, I commend you for reaching out and becoming part of Stall High. This is just an incredible opportunity for you and all of us to continue to share and try our best to help people and their horses. What I'm seeing a little bit, not as much on the first, but well, right there I do. When you are coming to the barrel, it looks, when you bring your shoulders to the inside, your weight is pulling this horse, even though you're smaller, it's pulling this horse right into the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
It looks to me anyway. So I might try to, and I'll follow your lead on this Kendra, but I might try to sit more centered and not. Now, right there, you almost put your weight in your outside sit bone and your outside stirrup, but coming in, you were kind of leaning to the inside, which collapses between your armpit and your hip. It shortens, you collapse through your rib cage, and that just is enough to draw that horse right into that barrel. So I think if you were to sit up more and stay a little bit more in the center, if anything, drop your weight just a little bit to this outside stirrup, it might help him stand up more, because it looks to be that he's got the speed, obviously, but your weight just is enough to throw him off coming into that first, therefore where he's dropping that shoulder. And it looks to me that once you go around it, all your energy is coming out as outside hip. That energy is just coming right out that hip. And that is creating just enough of a pause right there.
Oh, I see it.
Just enough of a pause right there that energy, you're wasting energy. And therefore, forward impulsion is being compromised just ever so slightly. And when he raises his head, that weight goes to his forehand, he hollows his back out, and that energy right there goes right out that outside hip.
Forward impulsion compromised. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for using big words for leveling us up, right? As horsemen, as riders, as stewards of our horses, horsewomen. Compromise.
I also think that, like, I can feel it when he stops right there, like where he gets where that comes out on the backside, and that's when I feel like I have to help him, because he stops there and he's not I can't keep him moving right through that point. So when he stops, then I feel like he's not going to finish it, and I need to help him.
And that's totally understandable. I can see and feel exactly where you're coming from with that. But I think if your body's telling you to do that, try to, in that moment, take as big a breath as you can, exhale it, slow your mind down, and shift your weight just a little bit, which will help him be able to stand up just a little bit more and pick that inside shoulder up and not waste that energy coming out his outside hip. Because that outside leg is coming back here out, and that is creating enough instability in his overall conformation at that moment to compromise, disrupt just for a second that forward impulsion, which is giving you the feel like he's stalling out. He's losing that forward impulsion, and he is. Anytime the head comes up and they get rigid, through their lower jaw, through their atlas and axis, which is responsible for all this kind of movement. It's hindering his ability to be able to balance himself, to come up through his forehand, to get those hind legs underneath him, to push off. So you're right on track. What I would try to do is just when you feel you've got to pick him up, just do the opposite. Just give it to him. And because he needs to use his head and neck as an aid to impulsion and an aid to balance. And anytime that comes up, his head comes up and he walks through his jaw and that atlas and axis is compromised, that's going to create that stalling out effect, and he's hollowing his back out. So if you can get up and close your hip angle as needed, but keep your seat centered, and if anything, drop a little weight just to the outside, just for a moment, I suspect you'll see him be able to come into the barrel better and come around the backside, but more importantly than that, not stall out and come out of that straighter, more balanced, and not compromising forward impulsion.
I'm nerding out right now. Y'all let me know if you love this. I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. 100% agree. Jordan, I believe he is just hitting a really strong bullseye on what you're feeling. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. He is absolutely correct. Michael, thank you for speaking as a rodeogi. You talked about, I've never heard anybody say it like this. Okay. From your armpit to your hip, from your armpit to your hip, be aware of what's happening. If our rib cage is crunching a little bit, if we're kind of dropping it or compressing, just that little teeny tiny movement. It's just like in yoga. If you've ever taken a yoga class with a skilled, experienced yogi, someone who really knows how to teach you the art of yoga, I personally call it rodeoga, you're going to understand how a very, very micro movement can have a really big result. And so when you start to focus on how those micro movements are happening while you're running, and that's the challenge, right? Just say, can we do it fast? You're first going to identify it slow. And that's what you've been doing, Jordan, is doing the program, slowing it back down to a walk. Your mind is going to tell you, and you've already said it, I don't see how he's going to make it. Like he's going so fast, I don't see how he's going to make it without me. I'm going to challenge you to speed up. I know he's got a pro rodeo motor and I understand what that feels like. And your brain is saying, we're going to run through that wall. He is not going to make it. Is that right, Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. Let him go. If he goes through the wall, it's better than him having a bad experience in your hands. The success of a turn is always determined in the beginning. How well your horse can finish any turn depends on how well you can help him navigate the approach. And so by keeping that, Michael's calling it the forward impulsion, instead of worrying about, are we going to make it? Instead, shift your focus on that forward impulsion and keeping that motor rolling. So right now, you see how you're leaning forward and your hind end is disengaged. Your feet are behind you. And Michael, do you agree that that's exactly what he's about to mimic?
Absolutely. Right here in this still, you have bent your knee and brought your lower leg up. And what he is sharing with me as I'm watching, he needs more support of your outside leg right there. He needs to know if you were just to drop your foot, keep your weight in your heels, that's going to help him not be inclined to let that energy, as you approach the second barrel, come out his left hip. So you're closing your hip angle, but right there, so your leg is still back, even around the barrel, and it doesn't come down till there. And so all his energy is going out his left side. And when you collapse through your rib cage on the right and bring your shoulders to the inside just for that moment, it brings him down, and you're losing energy and forward impulsion right there coming out of the backside of that barrel, getting straight coming into your third. Now right there, his head's to the outside. He's dropping the shoulder, although he's trying, he's doing his best. So go a little more. See right there. See, you dropped your shoulder. This leg isn't supportive. Your outside leg, your left leg, is not supporting him like he needs it to. And therefore, he's trying to do his best. But there, he dropped that shoulder because that head came up and his nose tipped out, and he just dropped that shoulder ever so slightly. So come in again. Now, if you were to stay right there and not drop your shoulders.
Keep your feet behind you. And keep the forward impulsion, right? So hit the gas.
Keep the forward impulsion, yes,
Yeah,
correct.
where you're thinking, as soon as you look at that barrel, Jordan, pick your eyes up and hit the gas.
Yep.
And every cell in your body is going to say, no, Kendra, I don't feel safe doing that. But that's going to help him, Michael, do you agree? Stay
Absolutely.
level.
Yes.
And keep traveling enough so that he gets into what I call the safety zone. And I love how you said that. Just center your hips and they'll reflect that. He'll ride more centered, which means he'll reach more instead of activating the turn or turning on his signal a fraction of a second too early. Because the beginning of these barrels can be improved, okay? The angles are not set up for success for him right now. That's why you feel like you have to help him at the backside, Jordan. When you feel confident and competent to fix the approach, the backside will take care of itself. All right, let's keep going. And it will be liquid, so much easier than you think. And they will surprise you at how much they know and how much they're willing to do on their own without you coming to assist or coming to complete the job for them.
Can we back it up just for a moment?
Yes, sir.
That's at all possible? A little bit more? A little bit more? A little bit. All right. Now start coming forward, please. Right there. Right there. He already is going to hit the barrel. See how stretched out he is with that inside fore? I don't see this inside hind, this diagonal pair coming underneath enough to pick him up. And therefore, that's right there tells me he's going to hit the barrel. Because he's stretched out. His balance is compromised just a little bit. And I would like to see him be able to stretch his neck out just a little bit more, lower that head if possible. And I'll elaborate on that in a moment with the rein length. But that's where he's doing it. So it's one of those things that you want to help him understand how he can come back and rate and come back to you. And as he comes back, he stands up. And if he can stand up a little bit more through his forehand right here, he's going to be able to make that barrel come around and keep that forward impulsion and be able to come out the backside of that barrel and have the energy, the impulsion, the power. So you lost power right there, granted, as you hit the barrel, but have the power on that backside to come out, get straight, and run for home.
Okay, so let's keep going a little bit. And you'll see there's a direct line on the rein. Jordan, I also noticed that you cross midline. Before I saw your inside hand cross over his mane to the outside of his body. That's a very traditional move. That's what I was taught to do. That's what a lot of riders still do. However, that defies the physiology of the horse. And like Michael said, their natural balance. So it seems to work in a pinch, but are you getting your horse to the highest level of
Yep.
his
It-
capacity or his potential? Here's the second run. So this was day 2. Now we're going to slow it down. And I believe I've got 2 frames coming, which should be interesting to watch side by side. Leanna, do you want to chime in here, my dear?
Well, one, I think that all of this conversation is so powerful. And Jordan, I want to commend you for being so highly self-aware, and you are listening to your horse. That's first and foremost. And you are asking yourself, how can I better meet and show up for my horse? And his name is
His name's Goose.
Goose. Okay.
Really,
What a be
really creative, a gray horse named Goose, but I didn't name him.
Well, I love that in so many ways. That was actually one of Michael's dearest horses to him. So Goose has a very special meaning. That this horse is actually here to level you up. That's the exciting part of this conversation. And you're able to learn here that the shifts, the small shifts that you make in your own body is the biggest tool you can have. Not even more so than your hands, because your hands are an extension to the dynamics that are going into your body as the tool, your spine as the tuning fork. And so you're learning here that the small nuances of your body internally moving are going to affect the movement patterns of your horse. So just as Michael brought up that the atlas and the axis, we don't want it compromised, we want it free flowing. I would also ask you, as you're practicing or doing your runs, what is your atlas and axis doing? See, because you become a mirror for each other in your movement patterns.
What? Hang on. So you said that the internal movements, let me back you up a minute. These
Sure.
internal movements determine.
These internal movements and these nuances, these small shifts in your movement shapes the energy of your horse.
Okay.
And it directly affects the movement pattern of your horse, so that you two are beginning to mirror each. You're trying to come and sync, and I see it because he really is here. Goose is here to level you up, girl. There is no doubt, which is it's so exciting to know that we're able to witness this and come alongside of you. And for you to learn this information, Jordan, is just going to open up your world, because he's wanting his world to open, but he wants your world to open up as well.
So good. Okay, now take us to atlas and axis. You said it must be, for him, it must be free range or fluid. What did you say? And then you connected it to us.
Sure. So the atlas and the axis is that whole concept of if that is dynamic and moving freely, so can the rest, the capacity for our spine to move freely as well, right? And then Michael can talk about how it reflects to the horse, but the key component there is when he said, notice the atlas and the axis is compromised. My thought immediately, Jordan, went for you is, I wonder what her atlas and axis is doing, because you become a mirror. Opening up your internal state allows the horse the space and capacity to open up into his as well. And so it becomes not so much a conversation of, I need to help him. Your conversation begins to go in so deeply internal to this somatic place of, I'm here with you. I'm opening my body up as well, right? Or I'm moving my body as well. So the conversation begins to take a more, what I call a somatic conversation versus a cognitive conversation of, how can I help you? I'm going to pull up here. I'm going to do this, right? It's very different. It's like a dance, if you will. And it's lovely to see this and have this kind of conversation, because where else do these kind of conversations happen? I would venture to say not very many places.
Okay, Leanna, teach us your ways, oh wise one. All right. So instead of saying to ourselves, I need to help him, lead us in some possible, like what role play with this? What
Okay.
can Jordan be thinking instead?
Well, so for example, so let me ask you this, Jordan, out of everything that Michael was reflecting and Kendra, what is something that they said that right now is kind of resonating in you out of curiosity?
I was really thinking about like the stability from my outside leg. That makes like Cause like when my foot comes back like that, I can't like, I want him obviously keep his hip to the inside and underneath him and everything. And when my foot comes back and isn't on his side, I can't keep his hip underneath him to help him drive himself forward. And I want him to drive himself forward. So he can't, if his hip's not there, like, cause I mean, I watch a lot of girls run a lot of horses at rodeos that like, and it's nothing against them. It's just whatever, sometimes the way the barrel horse industry is that they don't have the wealth of knowledge that I've been lucky enough to like, that my dad and my family has like allowed me to expose myself to. They just don't have that or whatever. And so one of the big things that I'm always telling them is like, if you're turning your horse too early and their hip is swinging out, that then they lose all that. And my horse isn't swinging his hip out because he's broke enough and I've trained him enough that he doesn't like do the thing where they turn at their shoulder and swing their whole butt around. But if I don't have my leg there, it's still not underneath him to drive him forward.
Good. And Michael, when you were saying that, like he needs the energy or the support of that foot. Some people, I've noticed here in the past decade, people are starting to kind of think like, oh, the outside of my horse is important, but they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. So they're actually trying to put pressure on that outside. And things are happening too fast, especially on a horse like Goose. He's too strong, he's too fast. And if you over compensate, if you try pressing or using it too much, that's not going to work either. So sometimes, Jordan, just having your legs in the right position, you don't have to squeeze one more than the other, but just having them in the right position, Michael, that helped me understand that's enough support for his energy to stabilize him and to keep him level and square. That was a new visual for me. So thank you for that, Michael.
Thank you.
And that's it. You just talked about the conversation. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to elaborate on what the point that you made with the Atlas and Axis, and what you said, Leanna, is spot on. You're compromising that so much. Well, I don't want to say this. You're compromising it, and it's going all the way down your spine, and it's locking your hips up, and coming out of the backside of that third barrel, your butt comes against that cantle and stalls them out too. Anytime that cantle hits your butt or your butt hits the cantle, you're losing forward impulsion just for a moment. And it's going to get him to where he's going to, arch his back, and the hindquarters are going to come behind and not be able to come and push forward.
Okay. Leanna, back to you. Instead of saying, I need to help my horse.
Yeah, you're going to be, the language is going to be a gentle shift in language, but it's going to help shape your experience. It's going to now be my legs and my feet are here to support you. You're going to be checking in now with that instead of that thought of, I gotta, you're going to breathe into your legs and your feet, and you're going to visualize, just like Kendra said, how she got that new visual. Our right brain only sees in terms of visuals and sound, right? In our senses. And so now you're going to be able, Jordan, to take that now with you. See, that's in you. And you're going to be now able to take that in there with Goose. And you're going to notice a shift in that responsivity between you and your horse.
Absolutely.
So good. I like that. Like, talk to your legs, see your legs. I was telling Lori, who was here over the weekend, my last little road yoga class that I did, we were doing these sun salutations. So it starts with down dog, and then you go into a plank, and then you're supposed to lower down. It doesn't matter how you do it. If you need to drop your knees, that's fine, but you're supposed to lower your whole body down to the floor very slowly. That's tricky for me to do because I lacked a lot of upper body strength until this one instructor said, just the other day, and I was like, whoa, it works. She said, I want you to think about your legs right now. See, I'm thinking I'm lowering down. So I had all of my emphasis on my arms and my upper body, trying to control that. She told me to use my legs, like strengthen your legs as you lower down. And I was like, whoa, that's so much easier. Now I can do it and I'm not struggling and I'm not collapsing and I don't have to lower my knees first, simply because she shifted my focus to my legs. And it didn't take a lot of effort, but just kind of working my muscles in my legs. I was shocked at how that changed my upper body. That's crazy. So Jordan, are you willing to try that?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes I think because like obviously I know that I don't want my chest down on his neck where I kind of like have it right now in that video where I'm leaned up against him and lean down on him because he does. I mean, I'm trying not to make excuses that he's big, strong, and fast, but he is. And whatever. And and it's getting better because my other like the other saddles that I had before when I'm riding in now, like even more so let my legs get behind me or whatever. But I'm always thinking about like trying to keep my chest up and like keeping my chest up and but like around the barrels. And obviously that's not working because I'm still not doing it. So thinking about keeping my feet forward instead of my chest up because my feet are forward, my chest can't be down.
You
Great.
nailed it.
You
You nailed it.
spot on,
Smart,
Jordan.
smart
Well done.
girl. Sharp cookie. Yeah. Everybody comment, like light it up for Jordan. That's quick. That's real quick to connect the dots. So there's your huge breakthrough for the day.
Mhm.
Freaking awesome. Oh gosh, this is good. All right, Leanna, let's go back to Atlas.
Mhm.
How do we know if our Atlas and our axis is locked up? Where is the Atlas and the axis on us?
So it's right there at the base of your neck. It connects your occiput and it's C1 and C2. And really it's what allows cerebral spinal fluid to flow up and down your spine. You can do, and we can have like you even do this in yoga, right? But you're going to want to check in with your spine and your Atlas and axis yourself before you get on a horse.
I never do that. Well, we're not taught these things, Leanna. So how do I do this? Teach me.
Yeah. So literally you're just feeling the warmth of your hands and you're just going to feel, because the warmth of your hands automatically starts talking to the fascia that's surrounding your C1 and C2. And you're just going to kind of take a breath in and you're going to automatically feel your range of movement here. And you're just going to go, down, take a breath in, check in, go back and see how well that can just rotate around. And you might notice a different area that might be a little bit more stuck. When you do, don't push your neck further and be like, I'm gonna just stretch it. Take a deep breath. Let that body just hang out there until it decides it wants to unwind into a different way up there. And that unwinding pattern, just like I did that's how my body wanted to make it over to that side. It didn't want to be pushed to that side. It said, hold up. If you'll let me unwind the fascia by just briefly looking down and up, I can make it there. And then your range of movement begins to open up. We're not
Jordan,
so.
have you
Yeah.
ever been taught these things, Jordan? Did anybody ever teach you this before you rode your horse?
No, it's just get on a horse most of the time.
Everybody else, let me know. Is this brand new to you? Leanna has just brought something like revolutionary to the horse industry. Maybe somebody somewhere in the teeny tiny corner of the horse world is already doing this, but I, for one, as a representative of the barrel racing community, can say that most of the people I know, I would bet money, we've never been taught these things. So thank you, Leanna.
Oh, it's an honor. And I'm learning as much from you guys, every one of you, and Jordan today. I've learned so much from you.
How long do we need to spend doing this, and how soon before we climb in the saddle?
It's interesting because it's also our intention. It's that gentle checking in, and you're just honoring that check-in. And so you can do it anytime where you're like, now's the time. Follow your intuition, follow your inclination. It's not a protocol, because we're teaching you also here to tune in, right? And go, I feel the need to do that now. Do that because there's a reason. Go ahead, Michael. Yes.
I'm just going to ask you though, what effect do you think this has in the occipital bone?
Oh, tremendous. Occipital bone, our ability, our vision to open up, right? Because we know when we get under stress, we get into ocular lock, we lose that peripheral, right? So yes. And our optic nerve goes, by the way, straight through our amygdala, our hippocampus, and it goes straight back into our brain. Our amygdala is our feeling and our emotions, and our amygdala, and then our hippocampus is our memories. So, you know, when you can work with that occipital and opening that up, you have opened up your field of vision, especially with your breath.
This is crazy. This is so flipping cool. I
I'd
can't
like to
write
pop in
fast
with something, may I?
Whoa,
Yeah.
I'm on, you made it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm here. There's a really interesting therapy out there. It's called Atlas Prophylax. That's ATLAS, and Profi, PROFILAX. And it's .ch, not .com. It's in Switzerland, but there are Atlas Prophylax practitioners kicking around North America. They're rare, but they're available. And it's a really super interesting thing. When we are born, we often are born with a locked up, out of position atlas. And if you could visualize your skull as if it were a golf ball and it's sitting on a ring, that's the atlas. And it's supposed to be aligned over top of the opening between the skull and the spine. And when it's offset, it's as if you were misaligning. It's hard to illustrate here. Misaligning two round things that are supposed to fit over top of one another, but if it's shifted laterally, then you're blocking, and if it's rotated, you're also blocking. So you may find some people who are permanently off. They just don't, their nose doesn't necessarily go straight, it goes just off a little angle and more. And so anyway, there are these ligaments that are between your skull and your neck, and an Atlas Prophylax procedure loosens these so much, it feels like a jackhammer when they're doing it, but it's not quite as bad. But anyway, this procedure loosens these bands that are holding it locked. And when that's unlocked, all of a sudden, this whole thing settles over top of itself as it was meant to be, as opposed to where it is held today. Like, for
Wow.
example, myself, I mean, I'm speaking from experience, I spent probably $50,000 on chiropractic, going every 5-6 days to put myself back together because my C2 would never line up. Well, I had the Atlas Prophylax, and that was the last time I needed to see a chiropractor. Thank you, goodbye.
What?
Well, go figure.
And we never, like, we just don't think about these things. Like, we don't think about, Michael started this session today with from your armpit to your hip. What? Who thinks about the space between their armpit and their hip when you're in the horse? No, we don't, because we get ahead of ourselves and we think about, there's 5,000 added today. I'm going to win it. Our Ricky Bobby comes out. If you ain't first, you're last. Look at that shiny belt buckle that your friend just won. Look at that new horse. Our
Yeah.
brain's all over the place instead of understanding what is crimping the flow. And
Yeah.
when we get into the root issues, guys, it is liberating. It's encouraging, it's exciting, and to think about the impact and the result we're now having with horses, and the opportunity that we have at Stall High, you know, as a community of people who care to have these conversations. That is what blows my mind.
I'd like to throw in one thought, which is this. I think Jordan's riding in fear. And
Okay.
She's locked in the fight or flight fear sort of a thing as she's going. She's got the race mode on. She's just, oh my God, I'm going to die through this corner. And we need to try and help her put herself out of the sympathetic lock. And Leanna just said something really wonderful about this Atlas stuff, because when you loosen it, you actually are helping to come out of that.
Okay.
But the other thing is you can do several exercises that can help you just before you get on the horse, so you're not so freaked out from what's about to happen.
Okay. So
when you're asking Jordan to put the gas on, that's like, I'm gonna die. No,
Yeah.
can't do it, right? She needs to unwind herself from being in that panic mode somehow. 3 tools I have. One is diaphragmatic breathing. Breathe into your belly for a good 3 minutes to just really let go of your fears. Second thing is this lock that East Indian yogis have discovered, which is you take your tongue and you roll it up and make it touch the soft part of your palate. So you can feel your palate, you know where the edge of the hard palate ends and the soft is further back in your mouth. So you need to get the tip of your tongue rolled and pushed far enough. And you hold it there as you breathe.
Mhm.
It's a weird thing, but that's what sets the parasympathetic in action.
Okay, don't tell us what the third is. We're gonna leave a cliffhanger. That's gonna keep them coming back next week. So
Sure.
3 tools. Lori, sounds like we've got a whole different clinic shaping up here. And if this has helped you today, speak up. Let us know. We want to hear the feedback. I want to know what you heard today that you've never heard before. What do you agree with? Do you disagree with anything? It's okay to let us know that too. Reach out to us, info@stallhigh.com. You can comment on these videos. The best way to reach us though is info@stallhigh.com. Every week I'm like, man, how can it get any better? How can we keep climbing higher and higher? And you guys just did it. Martin, you as well. Martin Patella, founder of Life Enthusiast. Thank you. Leanna, Michael. It's crazy. This is awesome. Jordan, let me hear from you. Has this helped you?
Yeah, it's given me a lot to think about and stuff. My dad and I were talking about, the only thing that I was gonna ask you about is, so obviously like we do a lot. I slow work the gray horse most of the time. Just like walk, trot him, lope, but like walk, trot him. I don't even lope him through the pattern ever really at home. But obviously like at the walk and the trot, I'm good
Yes.
about everything.
Yes.
My feet stay where they're supposed to be. My body stays where it's supposed to be. And when I get fast, that's when I kind of fall apart. And we were trying to figure out what we should, like, how to remedy that. And
Okay.
finally, why don't you just ask Kendra? Why would you ask me? I go, you're right.
Okay, so you're coming to class tonight at 6:00.
Mhm.
Okay. Leanna, Michael, I hope that you can make it at 6. If not, we will continue this discussion
Okay.
when Leanna and Michael can be there as well. Martin, you're welcome to join us at 6 p.m. I coach on Tuesdays in the online mentor program at Stall High. So I feel like this is something we definitely need to continue there tonight. And let's dig a little deeper into the techniques and getting you ready to make that. Now, you're handy. I know you, Jordan. I know you're handy. I know you're a horsewoman. I also understand how even as skilled as we are, right? Even with accomplishments and having ridden a lot of horses, it can still be scary sometimes. And you have a horse with a lot of speed. And when they take off like that, I think that is part of the challenge, is that we battle this inner voice that says, you're not going to be safe. There's no way he's going to make it. There's no way he can, this ground's not going to hold him. That's what I battle with. The ground's not going to hold us. There's no way the ground can hold us. And that's something that I internally have to overcome on a regular basis. So Martin, thank you for calling her out. Even though Martin's being kind of tough on you, he's also calling your team of coaches together. Like, it's our job to help her. We need to equip this rider with the tools she needs to overcome that fear. And sometimes we're not even cognizant of the fear because we're thinking about the buckle, the 5,000 added, I got to help him. And you're not checking in with your body enough to where part of your body's going, oh, bit, holy bit, we're going fast. So do you agree that that's a true statement? Do you have some level of intimidation or fear going on?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My dad tells me all the time that he thinks I'm not afraid of the horse in general. Like, he's the nicest bridle horse I've ever ridden. Like, when I was warming him up and whatever, I take him barrel races and I'll like be warming him and my bay horse up and like riding one of them and pony the one. My friend Anna, we were at a barrel race the other week, and she said, you have more control over both of those horses at one time than everyone else in this arena has over all of their horses, because they're both just so handy, broke, and like nice. He's the nicest bridle horse I've ever ridden. Like, just in my hand, like soft, feels like Crisco in a hot pan, as you say, most days. But this, when it gets going fast, that's when I get like on him. because he's just so big and strong. My dad's been telling me I'm afraid of him for the past 2 years. Ever since I started like struggling with him hitting barrels, then that's when I like started, like the more I struggled with him, the more I got scared of him going fast, because I was like, there's no way he's going this fast. I can't correct him. And I'm gonna hit this barrel. And then it just kept getting worse and compounding. And I was kind of over that as much, but I have not gotten over it as much.
Well, I'm so glad you're part of Stall High. Like Michael said, it's an honor, and Leanna said it too, to be on this journey with you. Michael Richardson, Leanna Ray, Martin Patella, Lori Roth, Jordan Jen. It's been a great Stall Talk. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for watching. If you want to be a part of what's happening, if you want to be a part of this, it's like a movement now. Like it's a group of riders who are passionately seeking wisdom. We're not opposed to products and supplements when they work, but I've certainly gotten caught up in the whole rat race of the competition and the performance. It seemed like I was missing the obvious. So if this has your attention and we have your ears forward, download the Stall High app, look for online training. It may say virtual training. That's where you can find information about our online mentor program. We would love to meet you, learn more about your horse, and help you as much as we can. Thank you, everybody, for being part of Stall Talk. This was a great one.